What about people? So, many Shugatiti interviews, and the previous two know the issues. About the previous two that we did brought a lot of issues. I mean, she said that she wasn't coming, and King Nasir came out to say he could help her, and it was a back and forth between the two of them. Just recently, I had a conversation with Sugar, and we talked about that issue that happened between her and King Nasir, who happens to be an adult filmmaker. Now, Ken also wants to say a word or two about it. So I'll be going on the online and have a conversation with Ken Nazir. Don't go anywhere. We have a lot of things to talk about. You will enjoy this conversation that I'm about to have with Ken Nazir. My name is Zionfelix, live from Italy. Are you back after the break?
We don't have complaints.
So I have Ken Nazir here with me. We're about to have a quick conversation. There's been a lot about him in Ghana, about Ken, Shugatiti, this person saying this person saying that. I thought I have him here for us to talk. Ken, how are you doing?
Man, life is good. Life is good. I don't have many complaints going on right now. Life is pretty good. How's things on that?
How many years have you been doing this? I mean, shooting adults movie.
Okay, I've been shooting adult films now for about 4.5 years. I started in the industry in January of 2019, I believe it was.
And why adult movie?
To be honest, it was kind of like natural progression for me. I was a male stripper before I got into doing pornography. I was also a influencer and content creator. And my backstory with how I transitioned from influencer and content creator to adult film star was I was having a lot of issues essentially being able to monetize with the kind of content that I was publishing on the platforms that I was publishing on at the time. At the time, I was posting on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, and I was getting deplatformed off of all of those platforms because they were saying that my content was essentially too explicit for the platform. And so I was getting demonetized, and eventually I got banned. And what I was noticing was a lot of my fan base at the time they was demanding and really wanted me to essentially do porn. But at the time, I just wasn't ready, to be honest. But with being deplatformed and me being eager to continue creating content, I decided to take a leap of faith and try getting into pornography because I was like, well, at least if I went about it that route, I wouldn't be getting deplatformed and demonetized, and the rest is history.
Does it pay really well?
I'm sorry?
Does it pay well?
Does it pay well? Well, for me, it does. You know, you ask different people, everybody's situation financially is going to be different. One of the reasons why I do pretty well, as opposed to perhaps some of my peers, is because in addition to me being a performer or porn star, I'm also a producer. So not only do I perform in the videos, I'm also the one that's producing the videos as well. And so in me doing that, I'm essentially able to distribute the films that I produce myself on whatever platforms in which I choose, which essentially gives me the ability to monetize as much as I possibly could from the movie that I participate in.
Is it costly to produce?
Absolutely, absolutely. You know, the movies that I've done, I would say from 2019 to maybe 2021. I'm gonna be honest. I mean, you could people could view my work and tell it was I was doing some pretty low budget stuff. You know, and I also wasn't that experienced and knowledgeable on the production aspect. I was hiring, excuse me, I was hiring people to essentially cover that aspect of the production process. But it was still costly. I had to pay for a location, had to pay for the talent, the women that I would be collaborating with. I would have to pay the videographers. Um, More recently, not at the time, now I'm also paying sound engineers and designers. What else? I was doing the video editing for a portion of the time during that period. Now I'm more hands-on with that. But if I wanted to hire somebody for that, I could also do that as well. And these things can all become quite costly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Averagely, how much?
I would say for right now, for the quality of work that I'm looking to produce now, we could be looking at a few thousand per movie on average.
Okay. And how often do you shoot?
So as of right now, I haven't been shooting as frequently. But we could be looking at on average once, twice a month. But as of right now, I have not been working as frequently as I would like to.
So when last did you shoot something?
I'm sorry?
When last did you shoot?
The last time I shot something, I believe was in January or February, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah.
So why haven't you been shooting regularly?
For one, costs. That's one thing that's been holding me up. The quality of production that I'm looking to have right now is a bit expensive to manage. So that's one reason. Besides that, I also really needed the time to develop skills. I'll be honest. The way in which I'm
Kind of look like I've lost him.
but I'll do my best to explain.
Okay.
I pivoted from utilizing DSLR cameras to utilizing cinema cameras, which is more expensive. I no longer utilize the softwares to edit the films that I was utilizing before. The softwares I utilize now cost, and I have to utilize certain softwares that are compatible with the resolution of film that I'm currently working with. I have to also upgrade my hardware as far as my computer setup and everything goes. And these things, they all cost. And then I have to take the time to learn how to do all of these things. A lot of these things that I'm now taking the time to learn and do myself, in addition to what I just mentioned, you know, it was a bit of a learning curve. And I wanted to be more hands-on and really be in control of the quality of production that I'm putting out for my audience. So
Okay. So for the past 4 and few months that you've been doing this job, how many women have you slept with?
The past couple of months?
No, for the past 4 years that you've been doing this job,
Okay,
how many women have you done it with? How many women have you slept with?
I would say probably over 100. Probably
Okay.
over.
Okay. And how many movies have you shot?
Probably 200 or 300.
Okay. That means you repeat the woman at times.
Yes, yes. Sometimes we shoot multiple videos. Yes.
Okay. Do you guys do checkouts before you go into the act, or you just meet the person, they bring the person, you guys start shooting?
No, we absolutely get checked up. That's a mandatory requirement of me as well as many other production studios and houses in the adult film industry. There are some companies that in the United States, I'm not sure about other countries. I'm sure other countries have other ways of going about it. But in the United States, we utilize different companies. We have Clear, we have talent testing, but Clear is currently pass certified, so that's why I personally choose to go to Clear as opposed to go to talent testing. And being pass certified is very important because they pretty much govern that aspect of the industry and make sure that all performers and everybody's safety is a priority, and that outbreaks as far as sexually transmitted diseases and sexually transmitted infections are tracked and everybody is known excuse me, is aware of what's going on. So
have you done it with a guy before?
I'm sorry?
Have you done it with a guy before?
No, I'm a straight heterosexual man. I don't have sex with men.
Okay. Has any of the women that you've done it with gotten pregnant, or it is out of the way, it is part of the contract that nobody should get pregnant?
I've never had that in the contract, but I have gotten somebody that I've collaborated with pregnant in the past, but they got an abortion.
Oh, okay. Why abortion? You don't want a child?
It was a choice we made between ourselves at the time. I'm not ready to be a parent at the moment, but in the future, I would like to be.
How is it short? Is it take us through pre-production, shoot, and post-production?
Got you. So for me, my process, although I am working to improve it, because I feel like if I can improve the process in which I go about pre-production, production, and post-production, essentially make my job and my business run way more efficiently than it currently does. So right now, how I go about finding talent, that's pretty much where we begin. I also handle that myself. I don't have anybody hired to do that for me at the moment. I utilize social media. Social media is one of my places that I utilize to find, scout talent. I also go to adult industry events, mainly in the United States. I haven't been to any outside of the United States yet, but I am looking forward to, because I did some research and I know that they have some outside of the US as well. So I find talent there. Sometimes I have women that have been watching my films for a few years, and they might see me in the street. In the United States as well as other countries, I'm pretty famous, so I get recognized just about every day. And sometimes women, they inquire about participating in adult movies. So sometimes situations like that. What else? Sometimes I might be referred talent by either women that I've already worked with in the past, or I might be referred by a friend or an acquaintance. They may be like, hey, I've got this woman she's interested in getting into the industry or just being in one of your films. Would you like to work with her? Yes, no. So that's how I go about finding talent. Then how I go about coming up with the concepts and the ideas as far as what we actually shoot and what's actually produced. Well, we have a discussion. I till this point, well, not till this point, from about 2019 to I would say 2021 or middle of 2022. Primarily, I was just looking to produce films that would go viral on social media. That's essentially how I picked up the moniker, the viral porn star. So one of the main things that I was looking to do in the films that I was producing during that time period was to create and produce films that would generate a lot of buzz on social media. And I was very successful at doing that. But recently I pivoted because, well, one, I wanted to branch into a different sector of film, which is why I had to learn the skills that I was explaining to you earlier, conversation. I wanted to go from doing stuff for just mobile and web to also doing theater, like what I'm sitting in now, and being able to watch films on a theater screen, like what I'm sitting in front of right now. And you know, that's a difference, a big difference.
So let's look at the shoot. Do you shoot straight or it is cut and paste? You shoot, you break, you continue, they add all of them together, or it is like if it's 30 minutes straight?
It depends. It depends. So primarily, it's not all the way straight through. I've produced something that's called Gonzo, which is essentially, it's not really a script. It's not really like planned. It's sort of, we just have sex on camera and it's captured. They call that Gonzo. That's what I primarily produce. Sometimes there are ideas that may pop up in a spur of the moment, or we may have had an idea in mind before we shot, and we sort of just improvised or improv during production. So that's what I've done till this point. But you know, I am really looking to transition into also doing live. I'll be honest. I wanted to get into doing, you know, I don't know if you've been keeping up, but there's been a big interest on from my fan base for seeing something like a sexual match or bouts, or, you know, where they essentially want to see like I don't know, like some kind of like competitive sex. And I've really been entertaining the idea for a while. And that would have to be produced differently. That would be shot live, kind of like this conversation that we're having now.
Okay. So what is the longest that you've gone, like in a shot? The longest minutes or hours that you've gone?
Without stopping?
Yeah.
Probably over an hour.
Straight?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Don't you get tired?
Man, I work out every day. I do strength training. I work on my cardio, and man, I'm really dedicated to my craft and what I do. And part of being able to perform at the level that I perform at requires me to be in great physical shape. So, you know, I don't get tired as fast as somebody else might because I'm in good physical shape.
Okay, so I'm talking to Nasir, who happens to be an adult film maker. And some weeks back, he was trending in Ghana with Shugatiti because I interviewed Sugar, and Sugar said, I mean, she's not come in her life before. So he came in, said he wanted to help Sugar, and back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And that is why we are here. So let's go straight into the Shugatiti issue. Why did you come into the picture after my interview with Shugatiti?
I seen it pop up on my I believe they call it the For You page or something like that
Yeah.
on my Twitter account. And I believe it was Pulse Ghana that published the article and also tweeted about the article. I seen it. And it kind of had me interested. At first, I didn't really believe it. I was like, I was like, I was a bit skeptical. I know sometimes women they go on interviews and make stuff up. Not saying that that's what Shugatiti did. I don't know. But I was a bit skeptical. But I was like, if this is something that just so happens to be true, I felt like I was the person to be able to, change that for her. And so I quote retweeted back at Pose Ghana that I essentially believed that I could get it done. And from there, it went viral.
Okay, but does the woman that you do it with, do they come? All of them? Or it's just acting? So they just fake for us to believe that they are enjoying it?
Oh yeah. So me personally, like I said, I've done Gonzo and a lot of improvised work. So I don't act in my movies. Everything is essentially organic as far as the sex goes. There are some theatrical elements in my films that are improvised where it might be done in the spur of the moment, such as like when I snatched Camilla Taylor's wig off, or when I did the roller skating into the pussy video. There are things like that that are theatrical, but as far as the interaction between me and the woman and whether or not she's sexually satisfied, absolutely. And if you were to interview the women, some of the women that I've worked with, they'd be able to tell you better than I can as far as what their satisfaction in the moment was like. And also, I'd like to ask, for me, it's important. It's important for me to know that the women that I'm working with are satisfied. That's just a part of what I like to do. And with my experience working with women that I collaborated with. And majority of the time, more often than not, they're having more than one orgasm, multiple even.
Okay, so would you have been able to make Sugar risk that? Because I mean, she says it has never happened to her.
Would I be able to get it done? Is what you're asking me?
Yeah.
Absolutely, I've got no doubt in my mind. I wouldn't have even tweeted in response to them if I didn't believe I could get it done.
Okay, but were you serious with it?
Absolutely, I'm serious if she's serious.
Oh, okay. She said she's blocked you because you are being disrespectful to her.
Yes.
Were you?
I think I could have handled. I think I could have handled my interaction with her on Twitter a little better. I'll be honest. Not that this is an excuse. I'm not really looking for any sympathy or utilizing this as an excuse or anything like that. I'm just communicating my perspective. I was dealing with a lot of pressure, public opinion. A lot of people, even till this day, have been demanding and requesting that I film a video with Shugatiti, especially because of the interest. Just to tell you from some of the technical aspect of and the data that I've gotten from my perspective, the Shugatiti and King Nasir interest as far as across social media accumulated like over 100 million or 200 million impressions. We were trending in two countries in Africa. It also got a lot of interest in over here in the United States as well. And there was a lot of pressure to make it happen. And I'm very adamant on capitalizing on things when they're relevant, because sometimes moments can pass.
Yeah.
And concern was that if we didn't capitalize while people had interest in it at that moment, that we wouldn't be able to essentially get as much monetary gain from that moment that we could have. And so I was trying to make it happen essentially within that time frame. And I was, again, under a lot of pressure from the public and putting pressure on myself as well to essentially be ready for if she was serious. And you know, I wanted it to happen, and I was essentially getting frustrated with the fact that I felt like she was playing around. She was mentioning should she, you know, link up with me or use a sex toy? Should she link up with me or link up with her alleged ex-boyfriend or whomever she had mentioned? I'm not sure who the guy was. You know, she was going back and forth with me on Twitter, but not giving any kind of confirmation that she was actually going to follow through. And you know, me as this is my business. This is my career and my passion. So I take my work seriously. You know, I don't do this for publicity. I'm not trying to, you know, do like publicity stunts or anything like this. Like, this is my literal work. And so I was a little bit frustrated with the fact that I didn't feel like she was taking this at least as seriously as I was, but I was a lot of energy, and I was allowing the public and my fan base to essentially buy into it and you know, potentially look at this as something that could actually happen. But you know, I don't know, you might know better than I can. I didn't get the impression that she really was taking this thing serious, and I wasn't getting the impression that she wanted.
But did you research about her before putting in the request?
Did I research her?
Yeah.
A little bit. I'm gonna be honest. I'm not a follower of hers. I didn't really know that much about her or her history prior to the article being published. The only thing that I knew was that she had posted some half nude pictures online. That she had the sex toy company. That she had the restaurant in Ghana. But that was about it. I don't know much more about her other than that.
Did you hit her up privately to have a conversation with her about this bout, this public display bout?
Yes, I DM'd her. I DM'd her briefly on Twitter, and I also invited her to join a Twitter space when I was discussing it with my fan base on Twitter.
Okay, and what was the response?
No response.
Oh, okay. And you went ahead to solicit for funds for that particular bout. She's saying that you never informed her, and you used the name to go and solicit for funds.
Now, I wouldn't say, I wouldn't phrase it in that way. I wouldn't phrase it in that way. I utilized a company, shout out to the company I'm about to mention. They're called Tip Snaps. They're pretty much like a content subscription platform, very similar to OnlyFans, and they have a dope feature called Tip Pools that enables creators as well as fans to create the crowdfund to see their creators that they follow or subscribe to or fans of to essentially raise money and perhaps get those creators interested in being able to create whatever it is that those fans seek from those creators. And creators are able to do to create these pools as well. And from my perspective, I essentially went in it with the intention that if we were going to actually follow through with this, this would be costly. For one, it would have required me to fly from the United States to an African country where it's legal to produce pornography, or for her to come from Ghana to the United States, which would have been costly, and who's covering these expenses. So that was one thing. The cost of production. I have much of this set up. Like I said, I do this for I run this as a business. So I have the equipment, the cameras, the lighting, the microphones, the hardware. I have all of that. But if I didn't, that would have required us to have hired a production staff. If it was going to be done live, that's a whole nother. Moral of the story is this stuff costs, and then she would have wanted to be paid, as she said on Twitter, which I would have had no problem doing. I pay the people that do jobs.
How much were you willing to pay her?
Man, for something that had as much interest as this occasion had, I was looking at a flat rate, which probably would have been in the thousands. I was looking at probably getting her a percentage of the revenue we would have generated from the live streaming, and we could have discussed if we were going to sell the film afterwards, after a percentage of what the film was able to generate in sales after the live broadcast. That was what I had in my mind personally, because I felt like this was a big deal. I personally feel like this would have been probably my biggest film till date. And I've worked with some very, very popular women whose films, who've created films with me that have done very well. I've worked with the name women of the, like in the caliber of Miss B Nasty, Violet Myers, Kazumi, Kraken Ass Key, and many more. Many more women whose films have sold very well for myself as well as them on their platforms as well. But I still feel like with the interest that this had, we would have probably been easily the highest selling and definitely probably my highest view, just based off of the interest.
She's saying that you're not her kind of guy.
That I'm not her kind of guy?
Yeah.
I don't know what her kind of guy is. I don't know what her kind of guy is. Yeah, if that's what she thinks, then that must be what it is.
But is she a kind of lady that you would want to shoot with her, or is just for business? When you're done, so you don't have any qualities?
I'm physically attracted to her, and that in addition to the potentiality for how well a video or film could do with me collaborating with that woman or multiple women is essentially my requirements for whether or not I'd like to follow through with producing a film with them. It's really it's really not a complicated process, and so long as they're healthy and don't have any STIs or STDs.
Would you still want to push this agenda with her, or you've closed your mind?
Like, would I still like to
shoot with her?
I personally, I wouldn't mind. The interest is still there. People still want to see it. I still wouldn't mind following through and making it happen. I don't know if it'll be as interesting or as appealing as it was when we first had our exchange on Twitter and when people first found out about it, because time has passed and, you know, I'm sure the public, they're, you know, wondering whether or not this thing is going to happen or not. But I wouldn't mind.
Okay. She felt insulted when you described her as a cheap, weak PPP when she demanded the $2 million for the shoot.
Yeah, $2 million is outrageous, man. $2 million is outrageous. $2 million is like A-lister celebrities are getting, you know, paid those kind of rates to be in, you know, movies that are in theaters for performances on stage. I'll put it to you like this: the only way a woman could get $2 million to appear in an adult film is if that adult film could generate more money based off her appearance in that film. And there's not in the adult industry right now, in the adult film industry, excuse me, right now, there's not many women that are, maybe even any women that are commanding that kind of demand. There's just, and I've worked with some of the most popular women in the industry. Like I said, Miss B Nasty is one of the most popular in the industry right now, and that is probably north of her career earnings. I don't even know if Shugatiti has made $2 million in her lifetime. So how can she demand $2 million to appear in an adult film when she probably can't even, if she was to put out her own film right now on whatever platform, is she making that? I highly doubt it. I highly doubt it. So how could she expect me as a producer to pay her $2 million to appear in an adult film? It's outrageous. It's outrageous.
Ken, I think I would have to have another conversation with you on this subject and more.
Play now Landio, Ghana's #1 casino game. Aviator Al Landio of Betway Airport. Betway, for the love of the game. Bet the responsible way. Regulated by the Gaming Commission of Ghana. No under 18. Terms and conditions apply.
Welcome back from the quick break. I'm still here with King Nasir, who happens to be adult film creator, trying to get to know how that sector works, and then his trending issue with our very own Shugatiti. Welcome back.
Glad to be back.
Yeah, so still on the sugar issue. How are you taking the backlash from people when you guys were trending on Twitter?
I've been taking backlash for as long as I've been in the adult film industry. This is nothing new to me, or really anybody that has a job or runs a business in the adult industry or the adult film industry as a whole. Globally, we deal with a lot of discrimination and marginalization. We deal with a lot of political issues due to the fact that pornography is illegal in many parts of the world. Other aspects of the adult industry, not necessarily that I participate in, but that are involved in the adult industry, like prostitution, is also something that is outlawed in many countries around the world, globally, not even just where I reside. So this is nothing new to me. And also, I'm a public figure. I'm also a public figure, a celebrity, and somebody who deals with both the issues that come with fame, as well as being somebody who is involved in such a controversial industry like the industry that I'm in. So this is nothing really new to me. This has just been the most recent, my most recent controversy, which stirred up a lot of heat in Africa, specifically Ghana, as well as Nigeria. You know, I know that, again, these things are frowned upon in certain countries within Africa, as well as outlawed in certain countries in Africa. Many people who are, you know, religious or cultured see what I do as something that is, you know, immoral or non-ethical or whatever the case may be, and that's fine. To each his own as far as their opinions go. But I do my best. I can't say that I handle everything correctly. I do my best, you know, against the opposition.
How did you feel when she blocked you on Twitter?
I'm sorry, can you repeat your question one more time?
How did you feel when she blocked you on Twitter?
I was unbothered. I was unbothered. It was. I spoke about my thoughts on the matter in a Twitter space. I was like, basically, it would be a bigger disappointment and bigger loss for the fans and the people who were looking forward to seeing the potential matchup between me and her, than it was for me myself, because for me, this is just another day. There are thousands of other women across the world that are looking to work with me. So for me, it's just, you know, I replace her with somebody else. But for the interest that we developed, based off the interaction that we had and based off people essentially buying into the potential matchup, whether it was a sex bout or whatever, you know, they essentially wanted to see, it was more so their loss, because there was a lot of interest and a lot of hype behind that. So in that sense, I was disappointed for the fans, not necessarily disappointed in the fact that I was blocked.
Okay. Did you make any money from the online thing that you were doing? I mean, to generate funds to sponsor that particular bout that you guys wanted to do?
No, I haven't profited from that. No, I've not withdrawn any money from the it's called a tip pool, the crowdfunding.
But did people contribute?
Huh?
Did people contribute?
Yes.
Okay, like how much?
I believe a few $1,000s.
Oh, okay. I've seen you do same for other ladies. I went through your Twitter page and I've seen it done for like, I think 2 or 3 ladies.
Yes, I don't know how to pronounce her name, so I don't want to mess her name up, but I'm also really looking forward to working with her. She's the #1 adult film star in South Africa. I believe it's Goli, I believe is her name.
Okay.
So I did one for her. Elizabeth, Ajibola Elizabeth. I did one for her as well as many other women. If you go on tippools.com and you literally search up King Nasir, you'll literally see a list of pools for crowdfunding for many other women that I would like to collaborate with, and some that were fan made as well. And I look forward to working with all of the women who are currently listed up there right now. You know, and working with some of them again, because some of them I've already done business with in the past.
Does this business really pay? Because it looks like you are crowdfunding to shoot. Does it come with a lot of money that can't shoot other content?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
I'm asking if the business really pays, that you have to do a crowdfunding before you can shoot.
You're asking me how can the business really be profitable if I have to raise funds to?
Yeah.
Really, I see what you're saying. Yes, but it depends. Not every film is going to perform the same way as which other films do. Some films, they might not become popular or grow interest till a year from release. Some have a lot of hype the first week or first month of release. It really just depends. It's not really within my control. It's really up to the fans to decide whether it's something that they enjoyed or not. I can't decide that. I can only create and produce and try to give my best as a producer, director, and performer. But I don't have the power to decide how well the films do. But as far as how well they've done for me, I've made millions. I've made north of 7 figures in US dollars from the work that I've done within my time in the adult film industry. So I've done pretty well, but it fluctuates. Some months, some weeks are better than others. It's up and down. And you know, this is the struggle of being an entrepreneur and running a business, and especially running a business in an industry like this, where we deal with issues that come with payment processors. We deal with issues with banking, unsteady banking. We deal with laws constantly changing and us having to change up our business model to adapt to changes in legislation. It's a lot that we deal with having to navigate being in this industry and trying to stay afloat. And, you know, in addition to that, just the cost of production, or at least the kind of production that I'm looking to do right now, can be very expensive. The kind of production I was doing before didn't cost me as much as the kind of production that I'm looking to do now. Like I said, I'm looking to create films that can be watched in a movie theater setting, like the setting that I'm in right now, where it can be seen on a theater screen, like the one that's in front of me right now. And this stuff costs way more money to produce than what I was doing before. So my cost to produce these films that I'm trying to deliver to the fans, absolutely. If I can get help to create quality films for my audience, I wouldn't mind it, regardless to what the film generates or not.
My final question: will Shugatiti get part of the money that you were able to raise for your bout?
Absolutely. The money from that was going to go into paying her, as well as paying to produce that possible film. So absolutely, that money is not just for me. That movie is for the creative process, and the entire creative process costs. Whether it's hiring her as a talent or hiring the staff that's required to produce the film. Myself, you know, I work for my own business, so absolutely.
Thank you very much, Ken.
Thank you so much for having me.
Bye-bye. So I talked to Ken Nasir, who happens to be an adult filmmaker. My name is Zionfelix. Bye-bye.
Hello? Oh, my son is Canada Dada. And then he left go menu. My son, this is a setup. He was Spain. Oh, yes. I Spain most any sicker free ha and for Ghana. Yet we love you. It's 11 and as a me farmer of a baby family. Oh, that be my son. Would you check your phone? Why? It's very easy now to send money from anywhere in Europe to Ghana. I'm in Spain right now, and I just send money to my mom. And on TSC, also don't send it, don't take e-levy. No, on tap send, there's no e-levy charge. It's just free when you send. Those in the US, those in London, those in Canada, plenty places in Europe. You can send your money through tap send to Ghana, and please, it's free of charge. There's no deduction in any e-levy or any charge at all. So what are you waiting for? Send the money to those family people. Me must send it. Let's go and take a clan talk. Reggae man who Patrick. It's tap send.